Welcome to the Pennsylvania State 4-H Horse Show, held each October at the State Farm Show Arena. It's a big event for hundreds of young exhibitors and their parents.
She's a yearling. I got her last year.
He's definitely a baby. You forget it because he's so big, and then he does things like this, and you're like, yeah, you're a baby.
This is my first year of state, so pretty excited.
I'm from Berks County.
Columbia County.
Montgomery County.
Cumberland County.
Dauphin County.
And I'm from Lancaster County.
You can see these young people love their horses, and they're not alone. There are over 9 million horses in the United States. In Pennsylvania, we have more than 216,000 equine, and around 31,000 locations where those horses are kept. We have horse racing and breeding. We have colleges that offer equestrian programs, and we have famous equine hospitals. There are numerous professional training and boarding stables in our state. We have national horse shows, kids lessons, and therapeutic riding. Horses are big business in Pennsylvania, but of all the places that keep horses in our state, most are not businesses at all. 80% of Pennsylvania horse operations are classified as personal. And in these stables, horses are usually not thought of as farm animals or livestock. They're more like companions and family pets. The feelings run deep. Because so many of Pennsylvania's horses are kept simply for pleasure, many equine owners may not know that they fall under agricultural regulations. They don't realize that if you keep a horse on your property, you're required to follow soil erosion and manure regulations, just like other farmers who raise dairy or beef cattle, pigs or chickens. In the eyes of the law, you're managing livestock. This is true even if you only have one horse. The purpose of this video is to help our state's horse owners understand how the PA Clean Streams Law pertains to them. We'll look at 2 chapters in that law, Chapter 91, which covers manure management, and Chapter 102, which covers sediment and erosion control. At the State Farm Show Arena, manure management is relatively simple. Each exhibitor brings their horse's waste to a central collection area. Then heavy equipment goes to work, and everything is hauled away to be spread as fertilizer. This makes it easy for the exhibitors while they're in Harrisburg, but when all those horses go back home, the responsibility for manure management falls both on the horse owner and the stable or property owner. A typical 1,000-pound horse puts out about 40 pounds of manure and around 2.5 gallons of urine each day. Combine that with bedding like straw or sawdust, and the pile grows. If you have 350 pounds a week, that's about 9 tons a year from just one horse. You can see why manure management is important. In the United States, we have laws that spell out exactly how we treat human waste. Chapter 91 is the part of the Clean Streams Law that deals with livestock waste. Doug Beagle, a professor at Penn State, is an expert.
Well, manure is just the residual from the feed the animals eat, and animals actually aren't very efficient, and a lot of the material that they eat ends up in their manure. These are plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are actually very valuable as a fertilizer for helping to grow plants. However, if those nutrients aren't taken up by plants and somehow get into water, they can cause a variety of problems. For example, we can have groundwater contamination with nitrates, which affects drinking water. When we have nitrogen and phosphorus get into streams or ponds or lakes, we can have algae blooms, which makes the water unsuitable for drinking or fishing or swimming.
Many people don't realize how bad the nutrients in manure can be for our waterways. They think the problem is just that manure carries bacteria. Chapter 91 requires anyone who has animals producing manure on their property to develop and follow a written manure management plan. The planning starts with a simple map of your property, showing your fields and pastures, paddocks or heavy use areas, any streams or wells, and your manure storage areas. You are also required to record what you're doing with the manure your horses produce. The specifics of the regulation are outlined in this publication, along with the workbook to help you write your own plan. You can download and print this information from the internet or get copies from your local conservation district. They give you all the info you need to make your plan, and the workbook includes helpful templates for your record keeping.
They have to plan for it. It can't just be, I just, take it out in a wheelbarrow and dump it on a pile. That's not an acceptable plan. They have to think about, where am I going to put this? Is it a protected area? Is there a risk of nutrients leaving that pile and getting somewhere where we don't want them? They've got to think that through.
Manure management begins when you first collect droppings from a stall or paddock. Any place you put that manure must be environmentally secure. You must take steps to ensure that any nutrients from piled or stacked manure cannot leach into groundwater or pollute a stream. Your pile should be on a level area and at least 100 feet away from any streams or wells. Do not store manure in a valley or low area where water normally collects. Your storage area may need to be improved, perhaps with a concrete pad, a shed, or canopy, or you may simply cover it with a tarp. Direct dirty runoff from the pile into a deep grassy area. This will act as a buffer to catch and filter manure-laden water before the nutrients in the manure can reach a stream. If your storage is close to a building, use rain spouting to divert clean rainwater or snow melt away from the manure pile. Proper disposal is important. Many stables arrange to have manure hauled off their property, like at the farm show arena. Some urban or suburban horse owners use a steel dumpster and periodically have a commercial garbage service take it to a landfill. This is a perfectly acceptable way to manage manure. The owner of this barn purchased a manure spreader. He parks it near his barn in a grassy area, and it functions as his manure storage until a local farmer comes in, hooks up, and spreads on nearby fields. You must keep what is called a manure transfer record that shows how much manure is taken off your property. The DEP workbook can be helpful here. Now let's take a look at a real-life situation. The Allegheny County Mounted Police stabled their horses in this historic barn in a park south of Pittsburgh. They don't have a lot of land to work with, a situation where manure management can be a challenge.
And we use our horses for everything from crowd control, patrolling in the park, and special events like parades. Well, we got together with our local conservation district to work out a plan. They looked at our facility, found out what we were doing was actually pretty good. We had to make a few little adjustments. The biggest thing was just writing down what we were already doing. And our turnout area here is very, very close to Catfish Run. It's only about 4 feet on the other side of that fence there. And of course, we wanted to keep any kind of manure out of that stream. Each day, we muck up the stalls every morning. After the horses go in from their exercise session, the stable hands will go out and they will clean up any droppings that are here in the turnout area. The turnout area is sloped inward, so when we do have rain, it runs down towards the infield area and not into the creek. We also store our manure in a large covered shed, and we store it until we have enough there to warrant bringing a triaxle truck down. When the triax comes down, we load it up. It's about 8 tons of manure each time we load up. We take it out to Round Hill Park where the county has a demonstration farm, and it's spread on the fields at the demonstration farm.
If you have cropland or hay fields available on your property, spreading manure is a great option. It puts the nutrients in the manure back to work as fertilizer for new plants. You must keep a record of which fields you spread and how often. The DEP's workbook gives you templates you can use. Every situation is different. You must spread according to the nutrient needs of the crops you have growing on your fields. The rate and frequency of how often you spread should be based on the results of soil tests. These tests are recommended every 3 years. You're not permitted to spread manure within 100 feet of a stream, well, or any drinking water source. When the seasons change, you can still spread manure, but it's discouraged and there are specific rules about spreading on frozen or snow-covered ground. Please check your manual or contact your county conservation district for details. If you have pastures, they must be included in your manure management plan. There must be enough grass in your pasture to take up the nutrients from the manure your horses deposit. This means grass or vegetative growth must be at least 3 inches high. If grass is constantly eaten down below 3 inches, you'll get bare spots. No grass, no nutrient take-up, just runoff. Maintaining good grass may involve dividing pastures into sections and then periodically moving horses into different areas. The goal is to give your grass time to regrow. Good grass growth holds soil in place and uses the nutrients from the manure deposits. Today, seed companies are offering new and very hardy grass mixtures blended specifically for equine pastures. These grasses provide nutritional value for horses and also stand up to moderate traffic.
So if you have issues with high usage, or in this case with our horses, in smaller paddock areas, we recommend using an annual ryegrass to fill in, to get established, and to rejuvenate your pasture is a lot of work. So if you can reduce that chance of erosion to start with a good grass pasture mix, it's what you want to do off the start. It's really important that you manage your erosion. You're not going to get that soil back.
Which brings us to the next part of our story, Chapter 102 of the Clean Streams Act. This deals with erosion and sedimentation control. So far, we've talked a lot about manure, but did you know erosion is actually the biggest cause of stream pollution in Pennsylvania? Soil loss and erosion control can be as challenging for horse owners as manure management. Horses are big, heavy animals, and their hard hooves can quickly destroy sod and open bare spots. Once soil is unprotected, it's prone to runoff. Chapter 102 states that any agricultural operation where more than 5,000 square feet of land is disturbed must have a written erosion and sedimentation control plan, or E&S plan. That's an area about 100 by 50 feet, maybe the size of a paddock at your stable. Your E&S plan must show what you're doing to limit erosion. Many of the things you do here will also be part of your manure management plan. For most horse operations, the biggest erosion problems come in their heavy use areas. Call them what you will, turnout or exercise lots, corrals, paddocks, barnyards, animal concentrated areas or ACAs, sacrifice lots. Almost nothing grows there. There's just too much traffic. So how do you manage soil loss here? Well, first of all, try to make your heavy use area as small as possible. Maybe instead of having a space large enough for all of your horses at once, you can plan to rotate horses in a smaller space. Perhaps one group in the morning, another in the afternoon. Bare earth turns to mud when it rains, and not only does mud lead to erosion, it's also a potential slip and fall hazard for horses who are ready to run after time in the barn. Locate exercise lots on high ground, away from streams or wells. Use sand or powdered stone to improve the surface area, and periodically pick manure from these areas. This will keep your horse from standing in muck and will keep manure and mud from reaching environmentally sensitive places. It is important to keep clean water clean by diverting stormwater away from heavy use areas. Sometimes just a slight contour or berm is all you need to channel clean water away. If possible, allow thick growth, heavy uncut grasses, or brush to become a buffer between your exercise areas and any streams. A common place where pasture land is susceptible to erosion is where you have a brook or stream. Horses' hooves will quickly wipe out any vegetation on wet ground. Fencing is recommended.